They will fear the wild.
Alright, what is up? What is going on, guys? It's your boy Tumbles, and I'm back, and this time we are playing some Sion Top. Well, we're not actually be playing, per se. We are just going to be going over the, not the game, but just how to know when to split push and all that kind of stuff. So I've been asked for this a couple times, and, I mean, for the most part, to me, it's second nature, since obviously I've played League for a while, and I like the split pushing aspect, so do know quite a bit about it. So we're just gonna have these minions here. So the first things first is obviously you have to know who you're playing against. This champion, the problem with pushing in to his turret over and over again is that it makes it pretty easy for him to actually grab his minions, right? Because the whole point of the champion is to try and just stack as many camps or minions as he can, and pushing into him is not a great idea. But there are other champions where you can push in and it allows you to walk across the map. So you could do stuff like walk down to the blue buff, you can grab the Gromp, you can, even go grab Scuttle. You guys will see me even grab my own camps here, especially the Krugs, because they give so much free bonus HP for Sion. So, with that being said though, I feel like all that's kind of self-explanatory. One of the key parts, I think, to split pushing does come down to knowing the waves. And the reason is because Sion can no longer really just fully int for towers, and that's because of the buff where minions being close to towers drops the resistances, and that's how you take towers really fast. With that being said, what you really want to do here, I'll start just giving examples, okay? So we're gonna have like a situation where, let's say, we pushed in, right? So we pushed in all the way, and so the minions are here. They're like auto attacking the tower, and we have the enemy top laner, whoever it is walking back. So he's walking back on this wave. So you guys can see the minions there. It's a little small. Let me see if I can make the HUD bigger. That is way too small, I think. Mini map. There we go. And it messed up all the arrows. Lovely. Yeah, so let's say the minions are here. Top laner is walking up with the minion wave. We pushed him in. We forced him to back. We've pushed in the wave. When you're in the early stages, this is really key. Early stage, this is specifically Sion based, and it can actually be for any champion, but it's very nice on Sion. And what you want to do is have the minions all die, and knowing that the wave, so we know that our wave is here, their wave is going to be here. That's just how the game works. It's a mirror, right? It's mapped. So it's the exact same thing on both sides. We know this wave is here, so we know that if he backed when the last wave we pushed in right here just collapsed, we know that he's going to be about where the minions are. So we can see about where our minions are. If our minions start walking up like this, so we know that he's going to be around here, close to here, maybe a little faster if he has boots, but odds are he's not going to have like boots 2 by 5 minutes. So we have that pushed in, minions are here. By this time, it's probably like maybe a couple casters left. We are not going to recall, especially on Sion. Instead, we are going to hit this tower, over and over again. It's going to kill us. It doesn't matter if we're taking aggro, because by the time we know if this wave has moved up to our tier 2 turret, then we know that he's around here. He is not going to be close enough to get to us to even get XP from us dying, let alone grab the kill. So you really have to look at the map and understand just, move speed of champions, how fast they can get back to lane, that kind of stuff. And that's a really big one, especially if you're running Demolish, which obviously you should be if you're playing Sion, for example. But the reason this is good, and I think is very overlooked actually, currently, is due to the fact that when you actually die, you gain this mini Homeguard. And a lot of people, I think this change has gone super overlooked. I haven't done the math on this, but I believe actually dying to the turret before about 8 minutes is faster than just recalling, healing up, and then walking out of base. And the reason is because you don't get home guards, one, when you are alive and you just recall. Two, say you're low, which odds are if you're pushing the wave completely in, you're low. That's just how the game works, right? The odds are is you're going to be low. So you're going to sit in base, you're going to collect mana, you're going to collect health, and you're just going to have to wait until you get back to full HP, and then walk all the way back top. But if you die, you get the home guard, and you spawn with full mana and full health. So early game, it's very, very important that you actually just die to the turret, because it's just better. It's just actually better. And unless you're playing for KDA, which I think is the most stupid way to play the game, you're going to do it. So hopefully that's a very good tip. For the next big one, let's clear most of these here. So let's go ahead and move down to, let's say, tier 2. Right, so we take tier 1, pretty easy to get. So we'll say we take tier 2 now. And with tier 2, there is obviously going to be no plating, so we can actually just hit the turret over and over again. Now, this is very important. Once you get tier 2, pushing for the next tower is, 1, very dangerous. 2, if you're pushing in very fast, and let's say it's about 15 minutes and you're already hitting this, and you get it, pushing into this tier 3 is usually just going to be death. And the reason is because of look at like how far deep you are, right? Like, it's common sense. Like, somebody's going to come up and try to gank you and kill you. Now, this is where you pray to God your jungler has half a brain, and you tell him, do drag on spawn. This is the chance in the game where your team should be up 2 to 3 dragons by the time you're hitting this tier 3 turret. So once you're hitting this tier 3 turret, your team over here should be on drag perma. Like, the second it spawns, if your team actually wants to win, and you definitely have to communicate this because it's solo queue, that they need to be on the drag as soon as it spawns, because you're putting so much pressure top lane that even if you end up dying at the tier 3, it doesn't matter, because you're getting objectives, team objectives, rather than just, solo lane objective, which, would be like the tier 1 tower, for example. It's not really too helpful for the rest of your team. So that's, in my opinion, I think, a very important one. After you take tier 1 as well, you can start focusing on Rift Herald with your jungler, grabbing Rift Herald and then using that pressure to hit tier 3 once drag is up and your team is actually going for it. You can spawn Rift Herald, push in, and keep pushing, and at that point, somebody has to be there. 2 people probably have to be there, because Rift Herald will actually be tanking the turret. And if you're going like Hullbreaker, for example, you're not going to be taking tower aggro. You just always focus the turret and you use your W over and over again to just mitigate as much damage as possible. And that is usually just the game plan for tier 2. Alright, now we shall clear this. Now for tier 3. My golden rule is, yes, you can take tier 3 before the 20 minutes, right? You can take it. What you can't take is this thing. Right here. You cannot take inhib at 20 minutes unless your team is already very far ahead and you have a good scaling comp. And by far ahead, I mean your team by then should have 2 dragons, and everybody on your team needs to be fairly strong. The reason is because once you take this inhib, you are no longer pushing this lane. It's impossible. There is no way, unless, you know, it's a very low elo, okay, and they are not going to be paying attention. There will always be 1 or 2 people here in base, and it's going to be almost impossible to take this tower, okay, because just game wise, that's just how the game works. Your wave top now will always push into this. So what does that mean, really? That means you are permanently giving the enemy laner XP and gold while you are going to be losing it unless you're sitting with your wave and pushing up the entire time, which is kind of a waste. So that is why I think taking the tier 3 is not good. Or you can take the tier 3, but taking the inhib at 20 is not something that I would recommend. You can, of course, under the circumstances that I said, you know, with the drags, your team ahead, some late game power, then you're fine. Take it. Because if it means that you get to go bot lane and you get to take the tier 1 if it's not down yet, then you make your way to tier 2, which, by the way, gives 600 gold, which is insane. And then, you know, go for tier 3. At this point, though, like I said, your team should have 2 dragons. Because your bot lane and top lane is pushing in with inhib down, then drag 3 and 4 should just be free. And at the point of 20 minutes, or 25 minutes, 25 minutes, you should aim to grab this with ulti. You'll have 2 items minimum at that point. You can ult to the inhib, and you can take it. Doesn't matter who's hitting you. You're going to grab it with your yourself and then plus passive. So it doesn't matter who you are, you just sack your KDA and you grab the inhib. After 25 minutes, you've grabbed the inhib. Congratulations. Now, you're going to, again, make your way down bot lane. You're going to just keep pushing bot. Bot is your new objective. The reason your bot lane is the new objective is, again, with the pressure you've put down on the map, your team should have 2 dragons at least by then. They should be focusing on 3 and 4. You can always move up to these fights, but because this inhib is down, the wave will always be pushing in, so somebody has to stay to not lose this. And if they don't, and the minions are like, let's say here, right here, if you have a big minion wave here, you can just unleash teleport on this wave and just push in and you win the game. Easy. But most of the time, the top laner is going to be up here and you're going to have to be pushing into these turrets. At 25 minutes, your team's objective should be Baron. You should be grabbing an early Baron. It should be insanely free. Once again, if their top laner decides, okay, well, if they're going to go to Baron, then I'm just going to go and clear this wave and make my way up here. You have 2 options. You are going to be pushing in here. 100% you're going to be at tier 2. So you're going to be at tier 2. You're going to be pushing. You know, maybe you have a big wave, maybe you don't. You have two options. If this wave didn't get pushed in, let's say the wave is like here, and it's walking in, and you see the team fight is happening here. You have wards on it. You see they have people fighting all around here, right? And at that point, you can just decide, all right, well, if my minion wave is here, pushing inwards, then I can TP here. I can ulti if I want to hit both turrets, or I can just push the wave in and then ult to get a better angle to hit both. Or you can always just TP to the fight, you know, because you're going to have ward control. You're going to be able to just easily get into there. And then after that, you know, you should win because you're going to be so far ahead anyways at that point. Or if you're hitting this turret, you can take this turret, you can decide, all right, is my team going to win this? Because your two options will either be, if the top laner is here, then it's 4v4, right? You're going to grab a tier 2, and you're going to be pushing into tier 3 and forcing somebody to walk down to try and save the tier 3. Which means this wave is going to ultimately push in and get tower damage, maybe even take tower, who knows. But at this point, that is why you need to have the dragons, because you need that early power for your team to at least win 4v4s. Because at this point, you're either in the fight or you're not, but you have to use your brain and think, okay, the enemy top laner is not in the fight, my team's up 2 dragons, a bunch more gold because I've gotten a bunch of objective bounties, or not bounties, but objectives, and I've given gold to my team for free, then you pray to God they can win the 4v4. Or you can TP to help. You can even ulti downwards to help if you'd like. There's a lot of different options here. This is the part of the game where using your brain is going to be key for you to winning. And of course, you know, if your team is down 20 kills at this point, but you've done everything, the game's out of your hands. That's just a lost game. That doesn't count, right? Like, that's just, doesn't matter what the hell you're doing, the game is lost. But with normal humans, you'll hopefully have 2 drags by then. You can grab the Baron. If you get the Baron, then of course you're just going to keep pushing. This will be down or just be coming up, and then you're going to ulti for it again, or your team will go for it. Most of the time, teams go down mid. I don't know why. Some weird thing with NA and going mid lane for ARAMs. And after you grab this, then you can make your way down bot again with the game plan. Finish. You'll already have this down. The tier 2 will already be dead by 30 minutes. You'll be grabbing tier 3, forcing your way into it. Always dropping wards behind you is key, because you can always TP onto the ward, go to the tower, tank tower damage, die, do more tower damage, maybe get it, maybe don't. But if you don't, then you go back, you're going to walk all the way down, you're going to hit about here, and then you're going to ult. So you're ulting out of vision, they don't know where you're going to be ulting. You're going to ult right into the tower, take the tower damage with your ulti, and you'll end up finishing it off, grabbing inhib, and pushing your way to victory. So, that was a lot, but a lot of it was kind of rambling. I think it's just because in my head this all makes sense, so it's kind of hard for me to, I guess, say how to do this. But if you guys enjoyed, if this was helpful, please hit that like button. Let me know if I should be doing more of these videos. Next ones will probably be a little bit better now that I've done the first one. So yeah, hopefully this helps. And yeah, if it does, then let me know, because I'm not sure if it's going to, or if this is going to be a waste of time. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
about it. If it kill me, I'ma let it run into the bag like I'm so athletic. I've been up since 6, making hits like tennis. I've been on fire, I just need my credit. Wanna go far, need to change my settings. Reaching for the stars so my feet touch heaven. Haven't had first, bitch, already want seconds. Wanna be on top, popping off like a fofo. Life been going fast, I've been trying not to go slow. I just hit the gas, now I'm faded, going slow-mo. You think you gon' pass, but you tripping, that's a no-go.